All right, let's jump right in. Humanity has this endearing, almost magnetic fascination with the unexplained, doesn't it? Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking some of history's absolute greatest unsolved puzzles. We're going from the dark depths of the ocean straight up to the vastness of the sky, looking directly at the historical data, the timelines, and the legitimately chilling facts behind the world's most famous disappearances.
It's a question that literally sends a shiver down your spine. What actually happens when people just vanish without a single trace? We're talking about massive ships inexplicably losing entire crews, or aircraft completely disappearing into thin air without even a cry for help. This perfectly sets the stage for our journey into the total unknown as we dig into cases that have baffled investigators for decades, and in some cases, for well over a century.
Section 1. Ocean Mysteries. Vanished at Sea.
Let's walk through the timeline of the ultimate maritime enigma, the ghost ship Mary Celeste. Picture this. It's November 1872, and the Mary Celeste departs Hoboken, New Jersey. Exactly 8 days later, on November 15th, a Canadian brigantine called the Dei Gratia departs on the exact same route. Eventually, the crew of the Dei Gratia finds the Mary Celeste completely abandoned, just drifting aimlessly out in the ocean. But here's the eerie detail drawn straight from our historical sources. The captain of the rescuing ship, David Morehouse, and the missing captain of the Mary Celeste, Benjamin Briggs, they were both highly experienced mariners who very likely knew each other. Some accounts even suggest they might have dined together right before Briggs set sail. Talk about adding a crazy personal layer of mystery to the discovery of this empty ship.
And that builds right into an even larger geographical mystery. Seriously, we cannot talk about the ocean without mentioning the world's most infamous maritime mystery zone, the Bermuda Triangle. This loosely defined region, situated between Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Miami, has served for decades as a notorious hotspot for the unexplained, seemingly swallowing up vessels and aircraft without a trace. Just look at the sheer volume of incidents in that specific zone. We've got famous vanished flights like the Star Tiger disappearing in January 1948, followed by a Douglas DC-3 in December 48, where 32 people went missing, and then the Star Ariel in January 1949. The crucial takeaway here is the incredibly rapid succession of these events. All three of these chilling aviation disappearances occurred over the ocean in a span of barely 2 years. It's honestly no wonder the public's imagination was absolutely captured by this region.
Section 2. Sky Disappearances. Vanishing in the Air.
Okay, let's put on our detective hats for a minute and walk step by step through one of the most daring heists in history. This timeline breaks down the infamous D.B. Cooper hijacking. So it's Thanksgiving Eve 1971. A man using the alias D.B. Cooper hijacks a commercial flight just 30 minutes after takeoff. He demands $200,000 and parachutes. The plane lands at Seattle-Tacoma to let the passengers off, then takes off again, supposedly headed for Mexico. But mid-flight, at an altitude of 3,000 meters, Cooper does the impossible. He literally jumps out of the aircraft into the freezing night, takes the cash with him, and effectively vanishes from the face of the earth. Wild, right?
But we don't always need dramatic mid-air leaps to encounter a chilling disappearance. Take this stark contrast. In August 1981, a 20-year-old legal secretary in Ohio named Cynthia Anderson arrived for work. But by the time her bosses actually got to the office that morning, she was gone. Her car was left parked right outside, but her keys and her purse were completely missing. It's a quiet, incredibly unsettling case that reminds us profound mysteries happen right on the ground too, right in the midst of completely ordinary lives.
Looking at these cold cases, you really have to ask yourself, can an aviation mystery ever truly be closed? Or are they just destined to remain open questions forever? Well, recent evidence suggests that sometimes a little patience and modern investigation actually do pay off.
Take the legend of Amelia Earhart. We all know the story of the pioneering aviator who vanished on our global flight. But 81 years after her disappearance, modern researchers were able to rigorously analyze the distress signals recorded at the time. This advanced analysis actually helped bring a sense of closure to an 81-year-old mystery, proving that new techniques can crack even the oldest, most stubborn cases out there.
Section 3. Crimes in Cinema. Reality on Screen. Now, Hollywood loves this stuff, right? But these cinematic heavyweights aren't just fictional thrillers, they're deeply rooted in gruesome real-world reality. You've got David Fincher's Zodiac, based on the cryptid killer who terrorized San Francisco. There's Memories of Murder, an absolutely phenomenal film drawing directly from the Hwasong serial murders in South Korea between 1986 and 1991.
We also have The Boston Strangler, highlighting the horrific 1960s murders, and The Black Dahlia, which tackles one of Hollywood's most tragic and famous unsolved mysteries. Filmmakers use these unsolved cases for a very specific reason. The lack of a neat conclusion is just inherently terrifying to us as an audience. And these mysteries completely seep into psychological horror, too, really digging into the severe mental toll of the unknown. The Changeling is based on a heart-wrenching true story from 1920s LA, where a mother's missing child was seemingly replaced by police with an imposter. In Cold Blood adapts Truman Capote's masterful documentation of a horrific family murder. All Good Things dives into a wealthy businessman's suspected involvement in his wife's disappearance, and The Girl Next Door is based on a deeply disturbing true crime from the 1950s. Cinema continuously uses these dark, real-life mysteries to explore human psychology, proving time and time again that truth really is stranger than fiction.
Section 4. Science versus Mystery, Replacing Myths.
When we compare the historical myths of the Bermuda Triangle to actual natural explanations, a pretty clear picture emerges. On one side, you have these wild theories involving the lost underwater technology of Atlantis or abductions by UFOs and aliens. But on the other side, if we impartially look at the documented natural explanations from researchers, we see things like methane hydrates erupting from the ocean floor, severe magnetic compass errors, unpredictable violent tropical storms, and, quite simply, human error. We aren't here to tell you what to believe, but it's deeply fascinating to see how supernatural theories contrast directly with rational environmental phenomena. Let's apply this scientific lens to a specific example we mentioned earlier, the Douglas DC-3 flight. While the myth surrounding its disappearance is huge, aviation investigators point to a very grounded cause. Reports indicate the aircraft was operating with low battery power, and the pilot was actually ordered to fly back without recharging. So, mechanical failures and human decisions often offer a much clearer, evidence-based explanation for these tragedies than any supernatural forces at play.
Yet, pop culture always steps in where science fails to captivate. A mechanical battery failure is a terrible tragedy for sure, but it isn't exactly cinematic, is it? That is exactly why movies like Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind use UFOs to explain the disappearance of Flight 19 in the Bermuda Triangle. Simply put, the myth is often just far more entertaining and awe-inspiring than the stark scientific reality. As humans, we kinda just crave the mystery. And that brings us to the end of our exploration today. We've journeyed through 19th century ghost ships, vanishing skyjackers, modern scientific breakthroughs, and cinematic nightmares. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which of these historical enigmas do you find most fascinating? Do you lean toward the cold, hard scientific facts, or does the unexplained still hold a powerful grip on your imagination? Think about it and let that curiosity drive you to learn more. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.